If you asked most people, do they like classical music? Someone might say flute or violin,
relaxing,
or WQXR, or relaxing, or Mozart, and they like it. No, a few people would say that they dislike it, but are they, active, engaged listeners, participants in the art? And that is the hard thing.
Something that makes it really difficult to be a musician is even from your starting day of lessons, you really only think of about 3 careers that you could possibly have. You could be a soloist, you could play in an orchestra if you're an orchestral musician, or you could teach at a university. All of us have these hybrid careers, but we kind of squeeze ourselves into this one definition that people understand.
For so many people, it's a different box. And when you really push the envelope, a lot of people have an issue with that.
The best and most sort of versatile and trained musicians, I think, out there understand like a larger piece of the musical landscape, whether it's recording, distribution, publishing.
You can't really possibly change your identity, but still at the same time you have to reach out to the audience, so that's the hard part, right?
The thing is, classical music by its very nature is not something that most young people will gravitate towards.
There's a certain age when people are rather younger, they connect very well with it until somebody basically creates their own stigma through peers. I mean, that's, for me, I find, not all classical music is even accessible for me.
Right.
I grew up with Michael Jackson and at the same time learning Chopin. I guess it's also the society and culture.
Like they go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art to see what, on the wall. That's the way they listen to a Beethoven sonata, as if it's not music, but it's a historical representation.
We as musicians also have a responsibility to create a human connection with our performance. Like the last 3 years I ran a concert series. One of the performers that I had come was like this guy that knew Frank Sinatra. He left the stage, he went out and he shook everybody's hand. As classical musicians, we sometimes have a disconnect between ourselves and the audience. We know our music so well. We feel like we can't share that with people, but actually I think if we try, that creates a connection. People listen for things in the music. Instead of falling asleep, they say, oh, there's that theme they explained at the beginning of the concert.
Classical music is alive and well, and there's more of it being written now than at any point in history by a long shot. Much of it deserves to be heard.
You need a venue too.
You need a venue.
How did you find about NYCA? What did you like?
I think my first encounter was the evenings of piano concerti, 4 piano concertos in one evening by 4 different pianists, none of whom, if I recall, had ever had the opportunity of playing with an orchestra in New York City in front of an audience.
It's really difficult to find an opportunity to play with an orchestra as a pianist, unless you win and go to the final round of the competition. Competitions also have age limit. So after that age, like 32, 35, what do you do?
What you're doing is, allowing for opportunity for pianists, young or old or otherwise, to have access to orchestras. NYCA is one of the few, if only, places that I know where that is possible at all.
NYCA worldwide debut audition is to audition pianists all around the world, 5 different cities in Europe. We're going to China next year, and New York City, and we're selecting winners to give debut opportunity at Carnegie Hall and Berlin Philharmonic Hall and Kennedy Center.
The winner would get performance opportunities in each of those 3 venues.
Right.
Pianists, work in sort of isolation. NYCA is offering more of a chance of community for pianists throughout the world. Come together, compete for some of the same things, and give, either individually or together, opportunities for them to perform in those places.
That's true.